This is Illumination's terrible Despicable Me 3. Between the first Minions movie and this, I think this is when the world's honeymoon period with the franchise really fell by the wayside. For my money, even the second movie wasn't that great, but this was for sure the point that Despicable Me transitioned from movies everyone generally enjoyed to dependable fodder to take your kids to. Kind of bizarre that we're now getting Minions 3 later this year, which will be the 7th movie overall. But today we will be looking at the original 3rd movie, or 4th movie if you fold in Minions 1. Man, this is getting confusing. We begin with an increasingly overdone Illumination title card. Like, save all the one-note Minion gags for the actual movie, eh? Right before the signature in-your-face humor does literally that to get the exposition going.
The year was 1985.
Why does this guy look like he's from The Incredibles art style? In it, we immediately meet child prodigy Balthazar Bratt, getting to the typical sugar-fueled villain antics we're used to at this point, but this time in the guise of an old TV show. And with an interesting haircut. Can't say I would be the type of person to do something like that. No, not at all. All the same, one thing that does stand out is how far the animation's come since the first movie's opening, because the actual animation here is crisp. Although maybe too crisp to present these sequences as old footage. Within 2 minutes, they've already told us everything about the character, so we don't have to waste time with more inventive storytelling.
He was the character he played.
Which is a shame, because otherwise it's a really interesting angle for a villain. A boy who fully buys into the life he was originally pretending to live. You do that right, and a character with that angle could actually go pretty hard. Though not even Disney could master it when they had the likes of Bolt, so oops, oh well.
Villain on TV was fun. Being one in real life, even better.
Ah, okay, never mind. They're just gonna do it like this. I'm glad I brought up The Incredibles, actually, because I can imagine a character with this backstory in The Incredibles universe, where they probably would have done way more with this concept. I can already see it, where he gets jealous of people with actual powers, whilst he's just playing as someone with powers on a TV show. Well, that as well is getting a 3rd movie at this point, so I guess if they're shopping for ideas. Yes, that's my pitch for how Incredibles could rip off the Despicable Me movies of all things. Anyway, they get that backstory out of the way, and then proceed to Megamind's biggest needle drop, I'm Bad. I know they don't own the song, but that's the ultimate we won the 2010 supervillain movie wars slap in the face, isn't it? I mean, come on, man, Minion's already dead. And considering the fact that Peacock's Megamind Rules and Megamind the Doom Syndicate also rolled out last year, or 2, that statement very much remains fact. Leave them alone, they're already dead and buried. Resurrected and then dead again. This movie also came out just after Universal bought DreamWorks out as well, so maybe they're just marking their new territory. Speaking of digs at other studios, the Minions fly to disrupt Nemo and Marlin. I get it, you're sticking it to Pixar, with this beat that shows you have less sophisticated animation. This is Gru and Lucy on an anti-villain league mission. Despite speedrunning an interesting villain arc, one thing I do actually like about Bratt here is that his gadgets are all childhood informed. Whether that be the ever-inflating bubblegum, Rubik's Cube box, or the heat-based yo-yo, I like that it ties back into the fact that this is a character who chose to stay in the visage of his childhood. Particularly when the bubblegum lifts the boat, it has that flair for creative inventions that the franchise is known positively for. They do it in all sorts of angles. I love the vehicle designs of the Despicable Me universe, weirdly. When it chooses to do something creative and architecturally interesting, they nail it. As for less positive traits, the creepier undertones in the Minion gags are back as well.
You guys are so cute.
Sure. We'll take all the 2000s coded jokes in this 2017 movie we can, please. Thankfully, Gru knows all about what happens when you make the wrong jokes in today's world.
But then you get cancelled.
Does a movie ever land that joke? I feel like it always makes me roll my eyes. You can't do it well. Taking us to yet another Despicable Me convention, uninteresting animated dance choreography.
Dance fight.
Albeit, Gru just punches him. That's actually quite funny. But then we head back to the blue humor as they literally blow Gru's kit off.
Dear Dan.
We're right back to the minions in the mankini kind of humor. Anyway, I was wondering why the comedic delivery on this one line was particularly good.
Son of a Betamax!
Turns out this guy's voiced by none other than Trey Parker himself in one of the few non-South Park voice roles he's done. Anyway, following a title card that feels more like a TV spot than one they'd actually use in the movie, Gru and Lucy are summoned to the Anti-Villain League Council.
I am retiring as head of the AVL.
That's right, perhaps to halve Stephen Coogan's paycheck, except not really, but we'll go with that. The AVL has this strange character design to replace him.
This is a snooze fest.
Excuse me,
Blah,
this is
blah,
my
blah.
last-
Oh god, have we got a whole movie of this character? No, not really, because pretty swiftly and unsatisfyingly, they're fired and thrown off the base. Like, this plot moves fast, but maybe not in a good way. It's like they wanted this lore from the second movie out of the way, even if that means a literal abandoning ship with very little ceremony. And perhaps the point was that Gru saving the diamond was overlooked, but instead it just feels like little justification to fling things along. In another movie, that change to such an awful leader would be a big deal, but we barely hear from the League after this. Ah well, at least they acknowledge it in well-written dialogue like this.
I know how much you love your job.
I love other things more.
Riveting. Anyway, on to the wholesome beat now, as the girls have prepared them a belated fake honeymoon. Really doing everything they can before the natural-born baby supersedes them in the fourth movie. In hindsight, kind of takes away from this moment, doesn't it? Featuring minions with coconut bras. I can't even fathom where this stands on the cultural sensitivity scale, but I do know it's more interestingly coded minions humor.
Gummy bears with meat.
To be fair to the girls, gummy bears are made of gelatin and therefore are meat, so it's all the same, right? What does seem off though is that Gru and Lucy are put in the they failed position from the firing, but like, from where I'm standing, that wasn't their fault. Something about the way this movie's written just feels a little bit dissonant, feels weird. Anyway, over to a plot point that makes you wonder whether they got some kind of tip on the Russell Brand situation ahead of its time.
Dr. Nefario accidentally freezing himself in carbonite.
Genuinely says nothing for the whole movie. They actually wrote him out. I don't hate that decision. I also don't hate minions having some agency in pushing Gru to go back to villainy here. Actually having a narrative wedge between them and having them quit. At the same time, just as I was giving it praises, this does happen pretty damn quickly, considering the loyalty they'd shown to Gru in other movies. Rather, you could just tell throughout this movie that they're also just trimming things down. Like, now we have 3 minions for the bulk of the movie to put more attention on Gru, following their solo movie. Strategically, it makes sense. I'm gonna later on complain about an over-bloated ensemble cast, but on the other end, when done poorly, this just makes for a brash narrative speedrun where you freeze a main character in carbonite and then get all your side characters to quit within a minute. Within a minute! But we won't relish on the story, we have a movie to get on with. And we are asking about Despicable Me 3 here. On to what initially looks like the mayor from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, but transpires to be Bratt in disguise.
Been duped by me!
Never bad enough to kill anyone in these movies, are they? And just like that, Dart stolen again. Oh dear. Next scene. Not sure this was the relentless pacing we were looking for. Was the novelization of this movie just a series of bullet points? Anyway, we go back to a heart-to-heart with Gru and Lucy of a similar tier to what we literally just had earlier. I'm getting whiplash over this.
Gru, you've got to let this go. It's time to look forward.
Man, they've really stepped down on Lucy's character from what we saw in the second movie. She's the one who had the job way longer than him. Wouldn't it have been interesting to give her some melancholy as well? But no, it's all about the guy, so the supportive wife lines will have to do.
Things will get better, I promise.
Borderline feels like you can feel Kirsten Wiig's disdain for the dialogue as she's saying it. Am I imagining that? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of some of the material, or lack thereof, that they give Lucy in this movie. And going forwards from now on. Now, Agnes selling her iconic unicorn, on the other hand, that's a decent character beat.
I got $2 whole for it.
That's where you can feel something from this movie. Anyway, over to the character with a bean for a face now.
Now, as I was saying,
Goodbye.
Yep, that's Steve Coogan as another character instead, so I'm sure his paycheck was just fine, despite this pretty half-baked German accent going on here.
On behalf of your twin brother Drew.
Again, not the most interesting way to introduce a plot point by just telling us about a twin brother. Surely a visual reveal would have been the way, right? I mean, he is on all the posters, so maybe not. I don't know, just feels kind of lazy to me.
Twin brother?
Twin brother? Big brother?
So naturally, it's time to go over to Gru's mum and yet more erotically charged humor in this kids movie.
To keep active in one's golden years.
Voiced by the queen of animated mums herself, Julie Andrews. And so it turns out that her and Gru's dad got divorced and raised the two twins separately. Again, explained very quickly, and he's off to meet him on an island covered in pigs?
This is the family business.
So, we're going to see some pigs being slaughtered in this movie, are we? Whatever. Time to meet this movie's gimmick. It's just the same voice, but with hair. Like, sure, he's meant to be an identical twin, but I was kind of hoping for a little more variation in Steve Carell's voice work, at least, you know? The dude is talented. Why can't we use it? It just sounds like a happier Gru, albeit I guess that is the point of the character. Why am I asking for talent? He's so happy, in fact, that he quickly gets a hold of Lucy and just keeps hold of her.
Sweet talker.
But it's okay, she's fine with it. My favorite thing here is them trying to give Gru something to say about Edith as a character.
You are a little mischievous.
As I've said before, it's kind of perfect that the middle child is the most redundant character of the three. And just to underline that point, what Drew just said is literally the description of her on the movie's Wikipedia page. Gru also steps in to safeguard Margot.
She looks 12 and will always be 12.
Which feels like a Simpsons-esque fourth wall break, though I do think they should age them up a bit for an inevitable fifth movie. They won't, and they've confirmed that they won't, but it would at least give them more narrative room to play with, since they've clearly stopped already. But no, and because formulas are formulas, we start to see Gru's envious arc popping out now, inviting Lucy to say more of her run-of-the-mill dialogue.
He's your brother, Gru. Give this a chance.
Though you can see that they're running with a new mum arc between her and the girls. Why am I so sure? Because they just tell us that's what they're doing.
Mother-daughter bonding time. Let's do it.
I guess this is a movie about how a former quirky secret agent learns to give it all up to become a generic mum archetype. Our favorites.
You boys have fun.
Meanwhile, Bratt is lamenting over an action figure whose graphics are more realistically animated than the rest of the movie, all in aid to just saying all of his motivations and plans out loud.
I'm canceling you.
But it's fine to just do storytelling like that when all the characters speak in a self-aware comedic demeanor, right? Right? Anyway, we have the next reveal. Are they gonna say it or are they gonna show it?
Just a cover for the real family business.
To be fair to the guy, farming's an unsustainable business a lot of the time, so no wonder his money's coming from somewhere else. As we prepare for the next exposition dump, we have yet another case to file under minions being little perverts. Our favorite. It's funny because the minions said boobs.
So our dad was a villain?
The bald terror.
So, much like many franchises, rather than just coming to villainy himself, Gru was predestined to become one because that's what his dad did. He's accidentally a Nepo baby. You could argue that Gru still got there by himself as he got cut off by half of the family, but then, so did Luke Skywalker. Who, weirdly, Drew sort of looks like. I do like the idea, though, that Drew has the reverse of Gru and their mum, where his dad was always heralding Gru over Drew. You can see a rare moment of pride for this character, who we generally see put down by the world he occupies, which also gives Gru a legit motivation to be tempted back to villainy.
I left that life behind me. End of story.
It's an interesting place to go with a franchise that's generally saddled with a villain who's only really a proper villain for the first movie. We then have Drew showing what I can only presume was a lucrative piece of merch for Christmas 2017 with...
You want to take her out for a spin just for some fun?
Remember when the trust fund Nepo babies of billionaire supervillains were plot devices in a kids movie? Anyway, they then have a fun action sequence with the inevitable Pharrell needle drop. As inevitable as death when it comes to Illumination movies. Spielberg has John Williams, and the Minions have Pharrell Williams.
Annual Fredonian Cheese Festival.
With some of the visuals considered here, I wonder if this has any reference to the viral clips of the cheese rolling festival we have here in the UK. If you haven't heard of it, I'd take a look because it's something, and apparently legal something at that. Meanwhile, Lucy's still figuring out this mum thing.
Still figuring out this mom thing.
That's all you need to know about that. Well, beyond her swiftly losing them all. As Agnes talks to a creepy bartender about unicorns, and we have one of the better jokes in the movie. Hey there, thank you for making it to the halfway mark of this video. Come subscribe if you haven't already for more terrible animated movies. We gotta get through the entire Despicable Me and Minions saga, and there's only 2 or 3 of the movies left to do. So hopefully we'll get those done by the end of the year. Thanks for joining along, and now to the second half of this video. See you on the other side. There is no other side, I don't know what I'm saying. It's little gags like that which makes Minions 2 sing for me. Genuinely, that's the only other Despicable movie I'd like beyond the first one. But that's a story for another day. We'll do an amazing on that eventually. Still gotta finish this franchise first. They do have a couple of decent gags in this police chase sequence, including having them literally riding pigs. Also, just saying, I think this is the first time I've seen any form of police in the Despicable Me universe, other than like guardsmen around the Queen in the first Minions movie. The first Despicable Me movie, they just didn't turn up for anything Gru did, and then the second one, the AVL were doing everything before getting written out of this one in the first 10 minutes. That doesn't mean we're free of the more predictable Despicable Me humor though.
I thought you were going to pee your pants.
I did!
Meanwhile, we cut to the estranged Minions I forgot existed for a second, as they enter the slightly self-indulgent mock-up of
Universal Studios. Cha-ching.
Though it actually seems to be somewhat subtle now post Ralph Breaks the Internet. That's impressive. What are they doing in Hollywood all of a sudden? Well, beyond just conveniently being there ahead of Bratt's previous setup arrival, no idea. But hey, it allows them to have a sort of sing crossover, which predictably is just a beat to hear the Minions do a funny song. And sure, it's a dependably entertaining filler of 3 minutes. Anyway, we cut back to the Gru brothers in vests on the beach with all the framing of a romantic scene.
There's gotta be something that you still wanna steal.
Why have they done it like this? What's the angle? They're brothers. Why has it got this energy?
There's something.
Sure, all of these kids' movies have had an undertone of risque humor with minion butts and pursuing women and whatnot, for whatever reason. But I can't even work out if this bit is intentional here. Regardless, the results have the energy of the old Jerry and Gary scenes from Rick and Morty. Shall we get some input from Lucy on this?
Oh, it's so nice to see you two are getting along.
Yeah, that'll do.
Did we
Just finish
each
others'
sentences?
Would it have been a bit on the frozen nose to do the sandwiches joke there? Would have preferred it to the lame Nemo one we had to start anyway. But no, it's time to further indulge Angus's arc for this movie being whether unicorns are real.
There is a chance that you might not find one.
Is it just me, or has Steve Carell made Gru himself more gravelly in this one, to contrast with Drew? It may just be me, but I swear he's heaving out a lot of Gru's lines here. This scene also seems to attempt to recapture the wholesome scenes between the two we saw in both the first and even second movie, but I don't know, this time, it just doesn't feel like it has the substance to carry it. We've just stopped the story to have this scene about unicorns, when in previous movies, these scenes were part of the story. The dynamic's still sweet, but it just feels hollow this time, using the cute imagery to get by. Meanwhile, the Minions side quest is back with yet another Pharrell needle drop. And turns out that all the marketing that had the Minions in prison outfits is just this part of this side gag. At the time, it looked like the whole prison thing was the focus of the movie. But no, it's just something for the Minions to do whilst Gru gets on with the actual plot. The most pointless and contrived Minion subplot yet, if you ask me. Just to recap here, They went to prison for evading the stage of a talent show. You had an actual narrative angle where they wanted to do villainous stuff again, and that's what got them into prison. Like, they missed an open goal here, man. We could have seen the minions causing absolute chaos to get themselves into the prison, but no, they stage invaded a reference to one of your other movies. They didn't go mad with chaos now that they didn't have a leader to ring them in after quitting, just boiled into the most boring version of a way to get them into here. We have some antics of the minions in prison doing prison-based minion jokes, but again, it's just another dependable filler scene of 3 minutes, featuring once again a minion's butt. Not to mention a minion towel whipping another prisoner's butt in the shower. But hey, they put a flashback to Gru in there to semi-connect things, featuring a speechless Dr. Nefario, so there we go. Meanwhile, because he hadn't explained enough of himself out loud, Bratt rolls out the exposition truck again.
What's the plan? I'll show you the plan.
By which he means, I'll tell you the plan. Kind of incredible work getting the Trey Parker of all people to voice this role, who seems diametrically opposed to his own principles of storytelling. They really whiffed their opportunity here, let alone changing his pitch for the childhood version of Bratt to make him sound like Cartman.
Come one, come all.
Come one, come all.
Ripping the man off while he's in the damn movie. Anyway, back to the Agnes unicorn subplot that's somehow now fully a thing. Even the subplot of Lucy learning to be a mum has managed to get sidelined for this unicorn one.
Now all we have to do is wait.
Over to the brothers, and they've given Gru Tony Stark hologram technology to work with now. I feel like I'm spinning a wheel to find the next descriptive sentence of this movie.
Can detect an air assault from any direction.
Though I kind of prefer the look of this version, as it's got an 8-bit look to it. But Drew is clearly 8-bit frustrated after being sidelined in this plan, whilst Gru does the actual heist.
I guess so.
But he chirps up when he summons their dad's old gimp suits.
Dad's villain suits! This will make us unstoppable!
All the while, we have another presumptuously forward love interest for Margot.
Hello, my schmoopsy poo. Whoa, hey!
Pepe Lepus is not a character you want to be ripping off Illumination. Also, once again, why does her arc have to be about romancing? The naff tropes are troping. And it escalates from there as Lucy's mama arc goes in the direction of juvenile arranged marriage.
You refuse my son's engagement, Big?
But it's all good in this abyss of non-specific Eastern European stereotyping. And with one shouting match at the European pig lady, Margot hugs her and the subplot's resolved.
Yes! I have to tell Gru!
That was easy. Particularly when Lucy's target condensed to one child once the other two got spun off into a unicorn subplot.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Speaking of which, they're still in the Smurf forest waiting around until... It's this joke again. You can always guarantee Pharrell Williams in Illumination movies. You can always guarantee this damn goat scream in an animated movie. Probably not a surprise, it appeared in this year's Goat movie 2, 2026. 9 years after this example, which itself was already several years old. And it kept going. The Grinch was Illumination's next movie after this, where they did the same damn joke again. Should I make a compilation of every time we've had to do a movie review like this? And the only thing that stitches them together is that same goat joke? Probably be 2 hours by itself. Moving on, I'm so done with it. As is Edith, who once again is just watching Agnes be an interesting character.
Yeah, I'll let someone else burst her bubble.
Everyone's just giving up on being interesting characters. You can literally see them one by one giving up their dreams of successful narrative writing. Back to the Gru brothers and the conceptually interesting angle that Gru is being kind of villainous by pretending to be one and essentially using his brother is underlined with a daydream that once again spells everything out for us.
Gentlemen,
Did it! You got our jobs back!
Funny how that was already apparent before they totally spelt it all out. Like, I kinda liked how it was basically unspoken before this point, but never mind. Even if it is a kids movie, they could probably pick that up. Why do we have to insult the intelligence of children just because now we think we're aiming directly towards them? It's insulting to the children. Do you feed your children dog food too? Because this feels like the movie equivalent of dog food. Anyway, back to more of Steve Carell packing Gru's throat full of phlegm to make him sound different to Drew. What an unfortunate meta subplot we're able to pull out of this subplotless movie.
Now is not the time to mess with the plan.
It does sound different, doesn't it? At this point, Drew sounds more like normal normal Gru. Like, just listen to this.
Supposed to stay with the boat.
I gotta give it to him. He's really milking everything he can out of these lines, including this one that has never been said in the real world.
Oh, I miss the minions.
I love the gag of them forming the yin and yang ball, though. That's kind of perfect, all things considered. Anyway, back to the minions breaking out of prison, continuing their most redundant subplot yet. Like, at least in the second one, the stupid purple minion worked into the main thing going on, even if they were, once again, marketed as the main thing, but only turn up for the finale. Anyway, in this one, they escape the prison disguised as white goods. Washing machines, baths, and, of course, lots of toilets. And once again with Pharrell singing in the background. Man's a multi-millionaire just off of that sweet minion gold. Back to the Bratt lair, and Drew is doing everything in his power to be that annoying side character that Gru has to put up with as he sabotages everything.
Shh, over here.
But hey, his mishap with the gun works out.
Give me back my diamond!
Well, that was easy. But all the Bratts turning into drones is genuinely pretty neat. Like, that's a positive, I guess. I mean, let's face it. The hyperactive yet predictable action sequences rarely really disappoint in these movies. They're nicely animated, as they always are. This is where the animators get to flourish their real talent. It's in the narrative that it all falls apart, as we then come to the generic all is revealed beat.
And we're going to get our jobs back.
To be fair, it's not every movie it's just outright said like that. And it's an interesting reversal, as Gru on paper's doing the right thing. Yet in doing that, he manipulated his long-lost brother.
You lied to me.
Their fallout is very by the numbers otherwise, with stuff like this.
No wonder Dad thought you were such a failure.
It was one of two industry standard ways this twin brother thing could have gone. Honestly, on the first watch, I thought they were gonna have the brother turn out to be evil and betray Gru. But no, they did what I shall dub as the other one. It's more interesting than how they cross lines with the unicorn subplot anyway.
We're hoping for a unicorn and we get a goat.
But considering a certain someone's catchphrase, this brief foreshadow's pretty good.
You've been a bad boy, Gru.
Even if it is, once again, playing into the slightly frustrated Illumination humor. Because then...
We're going to Hollywood! Ha!
Yes, the girls have been kidnapped yet again. And as they go after Bratt, they make sure to give out about 10 seconds to resolve the brother fallout beat. It came in that quickly, it goes out that quickly.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Gru.
About as much as I would have expected. And so the giant Bratt pops out at Santa Monica Pier and starts walking over a fairly accurately laid out Hollywood. Like, they've worked harder on that than anything else in this movie, I swear. Certainly more than on Bratt as a character. Barely seen him.
Hello?
I think it's fair to say it's been wasted potential at this point. Since the second movie, the villains have become very flavor of the week. And it's a shame because the concept for this one was pretty great, but they just had him shout his motivations at us the whole time and otherwise just say lines like this.
I win and Gru loses!
It's just so basic. He says that, kicks over the Hollywood sign. We know the drill. Well animated though. The Bratt robot being shot down the hill was cool to look at. Classic Illumination, little substance, but nice to look at. Particularly the bizarrely accurate Hollywood setting, which I guess is probably self-referential to please all the LA residents who worked on this movie. Except a lot of animators, of course. They're all in France.
Oh la la!
Outsourcing, brought to you by Illumination since 2010. And just for reference, this thing is short. By the time the credits start, this thing finishes at 78 minutes. That's shorter than the first Toy Story movie, which got a free pass because that was the first ever computer animated film. For comparison, the first Despicable Me movie was over 90 minutes long, and the second one was almost 100. So you can absolutely come to the conclusion that they were just rushing through this. I mean, it worked. It made over $1 billion anyway, this movie did. Presumably, as the shorter runtime meant they could cram in all the more screenings. But maybe that's just a cynical take on the strategy. At this point, you can see that Universal were ramping up a reliable release strategy for this franchise of every 2 years. However, I think it could be assumed that the critical failure of this one definitely changed that pattern. I mean, so did the pandemic, but now it seems like they're actually going for it again. Minions 2, Despicable Me 4, and Minions 3 are once again only 2 years apart in their release schedule. So perhaps they're falling into their very same mistakes, and I have no doubt that the newest Minion movie will make them another billion. But perhaps there are lessons to be learned from this movie, as it could very well be the worst Despicable movie of the bunch. The most shallow, the most undercooked, and really boring in a lot of directions. Anyway, let's get into the climax now. But yes, the Minions are here with their balloon made out of prison outfits 6 months before Paddington 2 did the exact same plot device. That's right, Despicable Me 3 just about did it first before one of the most beloved family movies of all time. Anyway, Lucy saves all the girls, I suppose fully concluding her arc. Saving them from the collapsing Capitol Records building, of course, before more underwhelming zingers like this.
This is going to be a total burn!
Thankfully, it's not a total burn for Gru, as he has a brother who needs to miraculously stop being incompetent all of a sudden. No! But even as the Bratsific Rim robot gets destroyed, that doesn't apply to his dull Saturday morning cartoon dialogue.
Any last words, Gru?
We're really at that tier now? Yes, we are, because the dance fighting is also back.
I am going to enjoy this.
I'm not. What do you expect? It's the third act of a Despicable Me movie. But sure, that resolves it with a guitar blast. And yay, the day is saved.
We did it! Yes, we did, brother.
Literally, moments later, we swiftly fade out of Hollywood and over to the resolution. Again, this movie's quick.
Love you, Mom.
I'm a mom.
And so, now staying at the tiny house instead of the billionaire mansion, Drew is left unattended to quickly resolve his arc and become a villain.
Somebody's got to keep the family tradition alive.
And that is literally the end of this movie. They sped run the resolution of this film. We didn't even see if they got their jobs back. Presumably, Dr. Nefario's still frozen in carbonite to avoid any Russell Brand drama. Just fade from Hollywood to the house. Love you, Mum. Drew sneaks off with the Minions. End of story. We get an end credit scene from Trey Parker and Pharrell though, so that's pretty cool. They used slightly more potential than they could have done. And that was Illumination's terrible Despicable Me 3. But that will do it for now. I had a good few people defend the second Despicable movie, and I can absolutely understand that maybe Despicable Me 2 isn't as terrible with the traits that we know Despicable Me now to be pretty terrible with. But I doubt this video on the third movie will get so much pushback. I guess we'll come to see. For now, my name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this video. Do tell us your thoughts about all things Despicable Me 3. Do you defend it in any way? Think it's pretty crappy? Think it gets any worse than this? Or how do you think it extrapolates to the future? I'd love to hear all your thoughts and more, but otherwise, I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio!